Welcome back to the channel, everyone. So today I'm finally doing my review of Europa Universalis, the board game. So what is Europa Universalis? So this is a 4X style game that takes place during the 15th century, where you're going to take on one of the European nations. It could be France, Castile, England, and of course we have Germany. Now with the expansion, it extends the board to all of Europe, and it adds 2 more players. I'm just going to show you the base game again, and I'm going to show you very briefly how to play. So like I said, this is a very heavy game. So I also want to thank Agir Games for sending me this copy for review, and I want to apologize that this took so long. As you can see in the name of the title, this is a review that took a year to make because this game is very long and it is very rules heavy. The rule book here alone is about 50 pages and there's a lot going on. So this is based off the popular video game series. So if you're familiar with the video game, you're going to be very familiar with the board game, and like the board game, the video game is very heavy indeed. So let me show you very briefly what is going on here, and then I'm going to give you my final review. So now when we look at the board here, as you see, we have Western Europe, and again, like I said it before, if we have the expansion, it expands into Eastern Europe and it adds 2 more factions. Now these big areas here are your big cities. So Paris is your main city, and then you have Champagne, Bordeaux. As you can see here, I'm playing as France as of right now. You got Spain, Castile here, and of course you got England with London. Now these little things here are areas that you control. So judging by which scenario you choose, again, you have a scenario book right here. There are multiple scenarios in here, and they each play differently and they each set up differently, but we're just showing you basically how to play. Now these figures right here are your armies, and over here, depending on which figure it is your army 1, 2, or 3. Throughout the game, you're going to be placing these little figures here to show how much infantry, cavalry, and artillery that you have. So that goes for each army, and it's represented by this little figure here. Now, over here you can see the colonizer board. So these are areas that you can colonize. So you got the Americas, you got Africa, you got India, Arabia, and of course you got the Far East, so like Asia and Australia. Let's show you how it's going to start off. Now, at the start of the game, we're going to have the event phase. So in the event phase, you are going to draw from the event deck by how many players there are. Okay, these are things that you can do throughout the game, and on the bottom these are leaders that you can hire. Now at the start of the game, everyone's going to start with their leader. So I have Louis the 11th here, and if you look at the bottom, this gives you a certain amount of actions each turn. So I get 3 administrative, 2 diplomatic, and 1 military. And they're going to be represented here by these cubes. Now you need these cubes to do those certain actions. Another thing I didn't go over is this area here is going to be covered up with these things here. Again, depending on which scenario you choose, it's going to let you know how many are going to be out on the board. This pretty much lets your opponents know that you control this area. Then there's going to be NPRs, or what they like to call vassals, that'll be out there as well, meaning they are loyal to you but they're not really under your control. On the other side of these, there's going to be unrest. So if they don't like what you're doing, there's going to be revolts, and you're going to have to deal with them with your military. Okay, so like I said, we have the event cards, and then we're also going to draw these action cards. So at the start of the game, you're going to draw 1 of each, and then 3 of your choice. Now at the bottom of these cards, they're also going to have leaders, so you could hire them as your advisors, which is here on your board, or if they're military, your generals. Again, some of them will give you more military power or actions. Now if you hire some generals, some of them will give you more dice to use. So again, the more different types of dice you have, the more powerful your attacks are going to be. So that is how the action phase is going to go. You're going to draw all those, and then you're going to keep whatever you want. Of course, you got to pay for it in ducats right here. And also, if you want to keep these advisors, each round you have to pay them off in order to keep them. If you cannot pay them, you're going to lose them, and it's represented right here. Okay. So after that, there is the peace and the rebels phase. So there is something called a casus belli. Now, again, I'm not going to go into everything, but that essentially is going to involve wars and truces. So sometimes you want to have an alliance with either another country or another region, and they will help you in battle. There are mercenaries out there as well. They are orange-colored meeples that will represent, and they look like that, but this is their die. They will also help you in battling your opponents. We have NPR invasion, so sometimes a NPR or another town will invade into you. We also have rebels, siege, and such, so sometimes the rebels will cause the unrest. Rebels inside your own city-states will attack you, and sometimes you have to deal with them. Then you have peace resolutions. Again, after a war with another country, you may start a peace treaty with them. And then you have prestige penalties. Again, there are going to be certain things here, so you always have to watch out for your stability. Having bad stability is not good. That's what's going to cause more unrest. It's going to allow you to lose more money. The more it goes up, you're going to get more money, and you're going to get rid of some unrest, and of course make your town, your areas more powerful. Also, what I didn't bring up is like when you do have the vassals out, you have vassals here. The vassals are also going to give you more money. They're going to give you more troops, and they are also going to get taxed. So you're going to get money from those areas, from the vassals as well, besides your towns. And then there's other certain things like interregum. You have religious dissent. So there are going to be religious tokens placed out on the board. You have obviously Catholicism. You have Protestant, and several others. Sometimes the Catholic Church will get involved. You have the papal curia right here. Again, I'm not going to go over everything. There are great videos out there that explain the game in context. Again, so you also have other cut costs, so income and upkeep phase. So you deal with your costs, then you have to collect income from the towns, pay your advisors, deal with corruption in treasury, and of course collect monarch power and such. Monarch power is all the cubes here based off what is on your card. So every ruler advisor is going to give you a certain amount of power, and again, you're going to use those to spend on these cards here. So for example, this card will cost you 1 military power to use it. So you take it off your military power section and you'll be able to play it. Some cards can be played on other people's turns. Some are used as will be instant. Some will give you passive abilities. All depends on what kind of card it is. So then after all that, you score prestige out, because the point of the game is to have the most prestige. So it goes up this track right here, and then you're going to clean up. You're going to disband all the allied units, update your manpower reserve. So manpower reserve is placed right here. Any of them that are exhausted or injured, they are going to be refreshed right here from battle, and we will go over battle in a little bit. So then you're going to refresh your merchants right here. So your merchants are these little guys. These are used for trade areas. So you have one trade area here, you have the English Channel, and the way it works is you have to form a line that leads back to your nation in order to receive trade. Again, I'll go over trade in a little bit, but it involves these cards, and these cards will show you what provinces you need, what kind of trade or good it is, and how much money you are going to get. Okay, after that, you're going to remove any injuries to your leaders or your generals, and you are going to also remove any alliances from bots, and of course money for DNPRs, and so forth. So let's go over some generic actions after all that. So like I said, we start with the event, Then you're gonna do player-to-player diplomacy. So what that is that is essentially how you declare war. So if you want to start war with another player, you're going to have to place one of these little tokens here on it. So let's say I am not happy with England, I will place a war token there. And before you do any of that, you would have to place one of these claims. So usually you put a claim first, and then you can declare war on a nation. So that is one way to declare war. You can research ideas. Again, on some of these cards right here, you can research certain ideas that will give you passive abilities. And again, all of these cards have people at the bottom that will, again, give you different monarch power. So then you have your change your state religion. You can change the state religion. So France, I believe, was Catholic. They are Protestant. So they start off Protestant, but there are certain regions of France that have different religions. So you have Protestant, Catholic, and this one says counter-reformed. Changing your religion does help you in different strategies, depending on the event cards. And again, going forward, again, there's a lot of little things I'm not going to go over, but sometimes the religion can come into play, especially when the Holy Roman Empire gets involved. You can change your national focus, and then you can also explore. That is how you can go over into the colonies. And again, sometimes you will have your ships out here, which also help with trade, but these are going to be out there, and then you have your fleet to go out and explore as well. And of course, I'm not going to go over everything, but as you can see here, you have the different countries that are involved in, like, in Asia and Africa, and same thing, you are placing either vassals or you're placing your towns in there to collect. And again, also it helps with trade. So now minor actions you can do is repay loans. So you can take loans in this game. They can be nasty. Again, depending on how much money you take, you will end up paying more interest. So you can go bankrupt in this game, and it's something you really don't want to do, but it does happen. You can appoint another advisor or leader. Again, these are a minor action. You take one of your cards and slide them under wherever you want. So like for this one, this one is a diplomatic advisor. She would be so she would give you one diplomatic power each round, but you have to pay one ducat every round to keep her, or else she will be gone. Another thing you can do is call to arms. That is something that when you want to refresh your army, your infantry, and sometimes you're going to need that to attack these little uprisings that happen. And of course, replenish your manpower, and then cut ties. So sometimes if you don't want to be aligned with a certain country anymore, you can do that. So let's go over some administrative actions, which are these cards right here. This was an administrative action is what helps you increase your stability. Again, you want to keep your stability up, because if you don't, you will lose money and it will cause more unrest. Can convert an area, so that's going to cost you 2 administrative power and also some money to convert an area to your alliance. You can also colonize. That's one of the administrative actions. So then we'll go into the diplomatic actions. One thing you can do is influence. You can influence some of these NPRs. Again, put a vassal token on there and influence them, but they won't exactly be on your side. You can put a vassal, or you can put your cubes. There can be multiple cubes on it from different countries, and depending on who has the most, they will go in that country's favor. But if it is controlled by another country, you cannot put any influence cubes there. You could also forge alliances. You can fabricate some claims, and you can trade. So let's go over trade a little bit. So again, trade, when you have the trade card here, it's going to let you know where you need to have your merchants or your ships at. And again, depending on what's there, it's going to let you know how much money you are going to get. That is essentially how trade works. You flip the card over and you will check to see if you are in any of these areas, and you will get money from there. Now, into the best part is the military actions. So, like I said, you would declare war on a country, but again, you would have to have a claim there. then you can activate your units, depending on which unit you have. If you want to go in and invade, once you go and invade, you are going to start a battle. And of course, you can recruit. Recruiting costs of obviously the military power and money to add more soldiers into your air. So again, if you want to add it to infantry, cavalry, or artillery. So how does combat work? So when you get into a fight, you are going to obviously roll your dice. Now, it's all is dependent on what kind of generals you have and how much of the infantry, cavalry, and artillery is in this army. So this is actually Army 3. So let's just say I had 2 infantry, 1 cavalry, and 1 artillery. So now when you have a certain general, again, they're going to show how much dice you are going to roll. So let's just say this guy right here, we have Robert. He makes us roll 3 blue dice. That is really good. So what we're going to do is, as the attacker, we always attack first. So as you roll, let's just say I rolled my 3 die. I have 2 artillery, and so this one actually injures their leader as well. So depending on what I have 2 artillery, so I have 1 artillery here, so that is going to score a hit. So depending on how many people you have commanding your artillery, if I had 2, both of these would have scored. So again, like I said before, when you roll this one right here, it counts as a infantry damage result and counts as 2 results for PRs or for line infantry. So again, if I rolled a horse, that would also count as cavalry. So my cavalry would be doing damage to that. Naval battles are usually the same way. Let's say we had this guy, Louis, as Army 3's general. So he's going to allow us to roll 3 orange dice. So I'll roll the 3 dice, and I have all 3 cavalries. So I have 2 cavalries. It's going to hit him for 2 times from my cavalry. Again, the blues would be for naval battles. So if I had my naval ship here, I will be rolling the blue die. Okay, so now after all that is said and done, you're gonna keep going back and forth until either you defeat their army or they are going to retreat. Again, after the winner, the active player is going to gain 1 military power for the first battle won on a turn in the action phase. And again, so battles are pretty simple, and what's interesting is that they are, depending on which army, which general you have, you are going to be rolling different die. So what is the main way to get victory points in this game? So everyone is going to have some of these mission cards. These are crucial into getting victory points or prestige points. As again, sometimes it's not only the mission cards, you have different administrative ideas, but like I was stating before, you have military ideas and diplomatic ideas. These will help you get prestige points. So that is just very, very basic of what is going on in this game. Like I said, there is a ton of stuff. So let's get back. I'll show you what I initially think about it and give you my final review. Okay, so like I said, there's a lot of stuff going on in this game. It is not an easy game to table. When I first played, it took me about a week to go through this rule book and read it up, and we were still confused. If you've played the video game before, I played with 3 people who played the video game and they knew what was going on. Thank God for that, because as much as I read this rulebook, and it is very well done, it's a lot to remember. There's also some really good videos out there that are very good. I believe RTFM has a really good tutorial video, but let's go into the review. I can't stress how amazing this game is. So yes, the big caveat is that it is heavy. It is not an easy game to table. It's one of those type of games, you play it once a year, you're gonna have to read up on the rules again because you're gonna easily forget it. It's definitely the heaviest game I have ever played, and I have quite some heavy games in my collection, but there is nothing quite like this. But let me just say, do not let the rules of this game keep you away from playing it. Yes, it is heavy, but I think everyone should experience this game at least once. It is that amazing. Our first game took about 7 hours. And when we were done, and I looked at the time, I couldn't believe how quick the time went by. That is a sign of a great game and what's going on here. Again, my only negative is the rules of this game. And even though they are very well done, it's a lot going on. Again, like, I didn't go over everything because, like I said, there's a lot going on and there's little things that you can easily miss. So like, this is one of those type of games where it's like you can't attack because there is a marriage token there, and then there is the vassal here, then they owe you this. It's all these little things that are happening. But again, the rulebook does a very good job of explaining it. It's just very tough remembering all that. Your play rate card is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Everything is explained in excellent detail right here. How going to war, call to arms, how battles are resolved, of course, your round summaries, basic actions, and all the events. Everything is on this little player aid card. And they did a really good job of really giving you all the information that you need. And again, the rulebook is very well done. It's just a lot. But okay, let's go into what I like. First of all, this is a one-of-a-kind experience. I talk a lot about John Company on my channel and how I feel that it is a unique experience again, and there's no other game like it. I could say the same about Europa Universalis. This is everything that I want in a game. Yes, it's heavy. Yes, it's hard to table. But yes, you have these little event cards. There's no randomness. I know that, yes, you have the combat is dice-based, but there is mitigation. Everything is done by skill. There was very little luck in this game. And again, when you play a game this epic and grand, it all comes down to replayability. There are so many scenarios, and with the expansion that adds the Western Europe and the two factions, there are more scenarios, there are more things going on. Each scenario is played differently. Like, you have the bubonic plague where everyone is like scrunched together and it gets more in your face. Again, there are scenarios with different player counts. Again, I would always want to play this with 4, or to the extent I wouldn't mind playing this with 3. I can't see myself playing this with 2 players. Going back to the regular gameplay, I just love everything that is going on here. You know, it's like I said, there are multiple strategies, there are different ways to win. You don't have to ever get into a fight. You can go over and start colonizing or maybe just building out your vassal and trying to avoid other countries. But at the same time, there's going to be somebody who's going to want to come in and invade you. So again, there is that little 4x experience of exploring, even though you know what's ahead of you, but you are expanding, you're exploiting, and you're exterminating. So yes, I would call this a 4x game just without the exploring, but because it has everything that you want in a 4x game. So when we were done playing with it, it just felt like a memorable experience. Every game you play is a story. That's the same that comes with Twilight Imperium. That's the same that came with John Company. Those experiences is what you want in a board game. This was a really tough one to rate because, like I said, I love everything that is going on here. You know, as you saw in the way to play, I was forgetting things because of, you know, I haven't played it in like a few weeks. So just from the 2-3 weeks since last time I played, I forgot most of the rules. So that's why I was just going over some basic stuff. But this is a game that can easily be forgotten, and that's the only thing that hurts it. And as a history buff, you appreciate all these little events that are happening. All these advisors, all these generals, admirals, these were all real people. You can see the love and dedication that went into this epic game. So my final score, after a year of playing, a year of going over everything and, you know, really evaluating this game and what it was doing, this game has potential to be my #1 game of all time if it was easier to play. I wanted to give it a 10 out of 10, and I can't do it because, again, of how difficult it is to table. That's why I'm giving it 9.5 out of 10. Every time we play this game, it has been nothing short of an epic experience. I know I couldn't really explain more because of how tough, you know, it is to remember everything. And again, that's going to turn a lot of people off. There are people friends of mine that will be like, listen, it's a good game, but I can't play this again because of, you know, how heavy it is, how easy it is to forget everything. And I understand that. But at the same time, there just isn't a game that I have played that is this epic. Or you know, people talk about Twilight Imperium. I own Twilight Imperium, but I've, you know, again, it's been a hard game to table. It's crazy that I got this table before Twilight Imperium, and that's a, if you want to call it, a lighter game. But this truly was one of the best games that I have ever played. There is no other experience I have had playing board games, and just having groups of 4, 5, 6 coming play. It's just a really memorable experience, and that's what you're getting out of this game. Yes, it is heavy. It is not for everyone. There are people who don't even want to look at it when they see that rule book, but at the same time, you're really missing out on a memorable 4X experience, area control experience, historical experience. And there's a lot of things that this game could teach you, especially if you are a history buff. There's some things that are going to make you cringe, especially with the colonization aspect of the game. At the same time, this is a history game. It kind of shows you the nasty shit that went on back then. So it is a good teaching game. Again, it's not one I would recommend for a classroom setting. There are other games that are for that, but as a once or twice a year experience, there is no game out there that does what this game does, and there's no other that will give you the experience or the memories that this one really did, that I had playing this game. It really was an amazing experience, and I can't go on enough about how great this game is. Going back to Aegir, I want to thank him again for sending me this copy, and I want to apologize that it took so long, but that just shows you the scope of this game and what is going on here. But yeah, that is Europa Universalis. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, hopefully this review will help you guys into maybe convincing you to at least try this game once, because you need to experience a game like this if you're into this hobby. And again, if you have, I've never played the video game before, but if you have, you're gonna feel right at home here. You're gonna have a much easier time. Like I said, thank God for those my friends who have played this game. They knew more or less how to play it without even playing this board game, because it really translates well from the video game to the board game. But that is it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe. If you have any questions about this game, leave it in the comment section. I'll try to answer it to the best of my ability. That is going to do it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Till next time, keep playing.